Anyway, we're looking at VIDYUT JAMMWAL's YouTube channel. This is called X-Rayed by VIDYUT with Scott Adkins. VIDYUT JAMMWAL has gone up considerably in subscribers since I started looking at his YouTube channel, currently sitting at 331,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to his channel already, please do so. Let's get him to 1 million. I think he could get to 1 million by the end of next week. I'm pretty sure of it because he's putting out some very interesting content. I mean, it's VIDYUT JAMMWAL, for crying out loud. And he's doing interesting videos. Last time he did Tony Jaa. This time he's doing Scott Adkins, and I'm very, very excited to watch this. But again, make sure you subscribe to his channel because he's putting out interesting stuff. It's worth checking out. Here we go.
Hi, this is VIDYUT JAMMWAL and you're watching me on X-Rayed. The ancient Indian martial art Kalaripayat says that to be a perfect being, you have to be in sync with all your senses. The skeletal system, the muscular system, the respiratory system, the digestive system, the visceral system, and the lymphatic system. If they all are in sync, you will be the perfect being. Today, we have Scott Adkins, who I believe is the perfect being. He's one of the only few legends who's worked with all the other legends alive. Donnie Yen, Michael Jai White, Tony Jaa, Van Damme, Jackie Chan, everybody that you know of, he's worked with them. The legendary Scott Adkins.
Okay.
Hi, how you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Good to see you, brother.
VIDYUT, I've been watching your stuff for quite some time. Always checking out what you're doing, and it's very impressive, very impressive.
Likewise. I genuinely believe you're one of the few fittest human beings alive.
Well, I don't know about fittest.
One of them. But really, you are one of the fittest people I know.
I'm good for 10 seconds between saying action and cut.
You know, 10 seconds takes Usain Bolt to complete a 100-meter sprint. Good enough.
There you go. Well said. It's really hot here today in the UK.
Oh, nice. He's got his own
Sun's
camera.
out, so I've blown up the pool for the kids, filled it up with water, and I've left them to it. And hopefully, I've got a little baby next door. He might wake up, he might hear him cry, but the wife will get him, hopefully.
You know, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and I was telling her one of the things that I really admire about you is whenever I've watched most of your interviews and I've been following you, and I love the way you mention your wife every time. Do you realize it?
Well, yeah, because I'll get told off if I don't. I'll get a beating. No, I'm a family man. I am a family man. Put my family first. Obviously, I spend a lot of time going away working. I'm away from the kids. I'm away from my wife. So when I am back, I like to be as present as I possibly can and put them first.
Scott, I really want you to know what I say to you right now. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely believe you are a legend. I sincerely believe you're a legend because being an action star from India, I watch everybody's journeys and you're one of the few people, I promise you, has really inspired me as an action star. You've done more movies than anybody else I know. Why I call you a legend is because every legend in the world knows about you, whether it's Jackie Chan, whether it's Tony Jaa. Every time I speak to anybody, you are always mentioned. So first things first, brother, I'm so proud of you, man. Great achievement. Nobody in the world has done what you've done.
I don't know about that, VIDYUT. Thanks for saying that. I mean, I'm just doing my best with what I've got. Yes, we're all standing on the shoulders of giants, the people like Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee and Jet Li and, you know, Van Damme, all those guys that I looked up to. And just wanting to make action films and be part of, not even Hollywood, just for me, it was like, man, I have a calling towards these action stars. So enamored by people like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, but even more so the martial arts guys. I just wanted to be part of that. I knew that I had to be part of that. It was never about the fame. It was never about money. It was just about, I have to be part of this. And I didn't know how successful I'd be or whether I would fail and all the rest of it. But I remember just saying to myself, I'm going to go for this and nothing's going to stop me. And if I crash and I burn, so be it. But this is what I'm passionate about. And I'm sure you could probably say a similar thing about yourself. Because you have to have that attitude of, I'm going to do this or I'm going to die trying, because tough business to make it in.
No, the attitude is, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do this.
That's even better.
So, you know, Scott, the two of us have a common friend called Andy Long, the action director.
Yeah. So he did Commando 3, right?
He did Commando 3 and we worked on another movie just about 4 months back.
Long.
And we always spoke about you because he really admires you. So I was like, tell me something about Scott. So he's like, Vidyut, that guy works all day long. He doesn't get tired. He just wants to work. Is that true?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess when I'm on a film, it's like, okay, this is it. We've got one chance to do this. You know what it's like. The train has left the station. It's not going to stop. And you've only got what you can do that day to do. I mean, I work on a very low budget sometimes, most of the time. So we're not going to be able to go back to the location once we're done with it. So you just got to make sure you do your very best with what you have on that day and give it everything you've got, because you probably, you're going to be stuck with it then. That's going to be in the movie and for everyone to see. So I feel like, let's just do my very best, because maybe they'll take it away from me if I don't. Maybe this is the last opportunity.
Nobody can take.
I had no idea. He was like such a humble guy.
You've got fans all over the world. You've got one of them in me too.
I'm a big fan of you too, Vidyut. I've been watching your stuff for ages now.
This is a personal question I really need to know. It's a rarity for an action star who can really move, who's really agile, but who's big. Like, you are a muscular dude and you can move. What's the secret? I don't know many people who can move with a body that heavy and so quick you are, man.
Well, it is tough, isn't it?
Look at the mirror.
A bit of muscle mass. I mean, it's deceiving as well, because you know what it's like. You're in great shape. You're very, very ripped.
Thank you.
And when you're really ripped, when you've got very low body fat, you actually look a bit bigger than you actually are sometimes. So on camera, we can look even bigger than we are. I mean, this is me at the moment, normal, and we've been in the lockdown, so I haven't been able to go down to the gym and lift heavy weights. There's been a lot of body weight stuff, and I've been having too many chocolate biscuits now and again, but anyway. But you know what it's like, before you're going to take your top off, what I'll do is I'll get down and I'll do a bunch of press-ups. I'll pump up my muscles a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're pumping up your muscles for that particular shot where you want to look at your best.
Exactly.
And then, you've got to do some sort of flying kick. So at that point, you don't want to pump your muscles up because you don't want to tire yourself out. You want to have that explosiveness. You don't want to feel too heavy. So I think the first time in any movie where they see you with your top off, that's the time you've got to make that first impression of, wow, that guy's in great shape.
One of the reasons I wanted to speak to you today was I genuinely believe anybody in India who's watching this today, if anybody wants to know anything about martial arts, the right way to kick, the right way to punch, the right way to move, Scott, you've got the best online training going on, dude. I watched your 720 tutorial, and normally when you speak to people, you read about them. My way is I really like to watch how they explain what they know about. And hats off to you, sir. I love it, brother. The way you explain every movement as if somebody just has no idea about it. Then you explain every technical detail. How did you learn?
Well, I used to teach a lot.
That's cool.
Back in the day, in my 20s, I would teach kickboxing all over the country. And I still do seminars sometimes to this day when I get the opportunity. So when I was teaching kickboxing and, martial arts in general, when you break down the technique to teach to a student, you start to understand the technique even more, is what I found. Like when I first started teaching, I was doing my kicks and I do what I did. And then when I had to explain it to someone, I realized that I actually didn't know how to explain it because I was just doing it. So it was through teaching for many, many years that I understood, what's important to tell someone who may not be as, because martial arts came very easy to me. By the time I went to started Taekwondo, I was 13 years old. And that was the first martial art I ever did with kicking.
I was 12.
But for whatever reason, I was already one of the best kickers in the class. So it just came to me very easily. So to break it down and explain it to a student actually made me understand it at a deeper level.
Yes, exactly.
So it helped me as much as I was helping other people.
Exactly.
And yeah, people were saying to me, you should do some of these tutorials. And with the lockdown, the quarantine, I thought, I'm going to take the opportunity to do that. And what's your martial arts background?
So, Scott, I do the Indian traditional martial art called Kalari Fight. And it's the most ancient martial art. I came into the movie business only so that the world could know about this thing that existed, which is the mother of all martial arts. My only ambition to be in the cinemas was to just let people know that this is the mother, please witness it. And I'm quite successful in it. Like the other day I was talking to Tony and we were like, dude, Muay Thai, Kalari Fight, these guys are, these are ancient arts. And we feel very proud to represent it. Like I think the way you represent Taekwondo, very few people do. I read somewhere that you were a black belt at the age of 19. That's incredible. And then he started teaching.
I actually didn't get my black belt in Taekwondo. I was the belt below black. I regret that. I should have continued, but I'm the type of guy, I would get restless and I would want to move on to a different martial art and train in that. And then after a while, I'd be like, okay, what else is there? So I would try different things. But maybe one day I need to go back and get my black belt.
I'm pretty sure you're all right. I'm pretty sure you're fine without it.
I've been watching your journey. First of all, hats off to you. I don't know, Scott, if you know about me, I started with very imperceptible roles in the Indian cinema. There were movies I was a part of where they could not even see me in the frame. I was one of the bad guys. And my journey started from there, and then I just got lucky and I just got blessed, and this is where I am. I admire your journey. Dude, what have you done? You've done everything and you've not tired. I've watched all the things that you've done in the past. Now I watch you, I watch your tutorials. How are you as fast? How are you as strong? How have you maintained this? What do you do that rest of the people don't do?
Well, the secret is to just keep training, right? To keep mobile. Don't spend too much time not exercising, because then you'll grow, running water grows stale, right? Have to keep the body moving. Otherwise, if you sit still for too long, when you get up, everything hurts. I mean, yeah, just love what you do. I mean, for me, it's no motivation to go and train because I love to train. So I don't have to give myself a kick up the bum and like, go on, get out of bed. You've got to train today. I look forward to training. I look forward to doing martial arts, you know. In fact, if I don't do it for a little bit, I'll get a little bit depressed.
Yeah.
Same here. So with me, I have to kick myself to tell me, Vidyut, you need to rest, dude. I promise you, I have to be stopped.
The other way around. You have to tell yourself to stop.
I have to be stopped, dude. I was like, dude, stop. You need to rest. You have to just take a break. But I love that part about it. I was in China, I think last year, Scott, and I, with great pride, took 2 of the Jackie Chan awards. I have to tell you, before I went for the Jackie Chan awards, I watched your interviews when you went on stage and you had received 2 Jackie Chan awards too, right?
That's right, yeah.
I feel so good because I think they are the highest awards given in the action fraternity. And I believe that they're bigger than the Oscars for the action fraternity. So when somebody like you gets it, a man like me sitting in India feels very proud.
If you're going to get an award for action, you need to get it off Jackie Chan.
That's true.
Exactly, right? So did you get best fight and...
We got 2 for the best action film and the best fight. You got it for the best fight and?
Best fight, best action actor, they called it. Best action actor. I was very surprised. I didn't expect to win. I was just happy to go along and be invited. It was amazing, actually. I really didn't expect it, especially to get 2, because, you know, Hong Kong, China, that is the home of martial arts films. So to go over there with a martial arts film and to win, it's like selling ice to Eskimos. Like, wow, is this really happening?
But it was such a great experience to just be around Jackie Chan. I've been always a fan, but Scott, after I spent time with him, when I met him, I was like, dude, this is how legends are made. He's a different man altogether.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to do 2 Jackie Chan films. Very much in the past. My second film was a Jackie Chan film, and I was, you know, like you started, just a second stuntman from the left, run on, get punched, done. You know, go home. Yeah, and another film like that. So yeah, I started off with those Jackie Chan films, but yes, I discovered him on VHS as well.
Yeah,
I've never seen a Jackie Chan film on the cinema until Rush Hour, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, most of us did. And hence I say that I love the way your career journey has been. And I personally believe, Scott, that you should be the James Bond. And I pray to God you will be one.
Wow, yeah, that's such a great suggestion. Oh my God.
You have a journey to tell. You have a family. And
That would be amazing.
Everything about you. I love the way you act. I love the way you can move.
Oh my God, Scott Adkins as James Bond would be awesome.
Scott, dude, the way you work out, the way you train, the way you don't give up, that's how an action star is made. When
That would be awesome.
youngsters get inspired by you, they will always talk about the fact that you work like a maniac. And this is what makes you who you are. This is what makes me want to call you. This is what makes me believe that you're one of the fittest people in the world. You see the fanboy here?
Mm-hmm.
What I wish that I knew when I was younger that I know now was, to build up the strength in your back, to make sure that your muscles around your back, your glutes, all of that are very strong. The neck as well. People neglect the neck. I've spent so many years doing this, pretending to get hit. I've had some neck problems as well. So, things that people don't think about, that core stability, strong back, strong neck, as well as, looking good. You gotta have the foundations there as well. Protect your body because, you need to keep it strong.
So the Indian martial art that I practice, Scott, the main focus of these guys is on the spinal cord. And they say if the spine is healthy, you will never have a problem. So like you said, it took me a while. We were focusing on the spine, but the glutes, the lower back, all these muscles, it took me a while because we were fast. We wanted to do everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Are you focusing on any of your programs on the lower back or your gluteus? Are you doing anything on it? I would love to watch it.
My back was so bad that it got to the point where I couldn't deadlift anything. I couldn't pick up the bar. I would get twinges all the time.
True.
So I avoided doing any exercises like that for a while because it would damage me. And of course it got worse and worse. And I neglected it, and that was a mistake. So now, I train the back, and the key was to not try and lift weight that was too heavy. That was my problem. Maybe it was an ego thing.
Yeah.
I was going in there thinking I should be able to lift this, but
Yeah.
it would give me a problem, and then I wouldn't want to do it for another week. My back would be hurting.
Yeah.
So I checked the ego at the door, and I started to train with a very light weight and just to build the strength up gradually. And now I'm back to, a weight that's my ego's better dealing with. I just neglected it too much. I neglected it. So I don't now. I start with my back. I do my exercise for my back to begin the workout, so I always do it. And my abs now. I neglected my abs as well. I've always had good abs visually to look at. And when I was a kid, I did a lot of gymnastics and of course martial arts. So you're always training your core. And I just thought, well, my core is going to be very strong because of that anyway. But at a certain point, it got weak in places. So I start with my back, I start with my core. I'm working on my neck at the minute. And then all the other exercises that you do for vanity, just to look good because you're an action star, they come later. I make sure I take care of the important stuff first of all.
Interesting.
That's going to keep me, healthy and in good shape.
Yeah, in my case, I think muscle building is one of the last things. I concentrate mostly on the mobility and then flexibility. And I've made that change recently in the last 10 years.
This is it. You can get away with it when you're younger. You don't need to worry about the mobility, flexibility, all that stuff because you kind of have it innately. But you get older and you stiffen up. Exactly right. I've been doing more yoga, much more mobility. Exactly right. So kids, start doing your mobility now. I'd like to learn more about the martial art that you do. It'd be interesting that protecting the spine is one of the main things. I wish I'd been doing that a few years ago.
I watched an interview of Michael Jai White, and I was so impressed with the way he spoke about you. He's a big guy. How was it working with him?
Yeah, he's a big guy, and he's a serious martial artist. He can really, really handle himself. But we're good friends. We've done many films together.
He trains at my gym, by the way.
Undisputed 2, I was so into my character, Boyka, that I was almost a little bit withdrawn, and I got on with him fine, and he's like a big brother to me. But when we were doing the fights, there was a little bit of competitiveness there that I think came from the characters we were playing anyway.
True.
But no, he's done a lot for me, and he did me a favor doing Accident Man, and he's a great guy. I got a lot of respect for Mike. He's like my big brother.
You worked with Donnie Yen, man. He's like inspirational on a different level.
I've worked with them all. I've been very lucky. And Donnie Yen was the last one on the list. You know, I've worked with Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Van Damme, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Statham, everyone except for Bruce Lee, really. Now I need to come over and work with you.
VIDYUT, and
you are the new guys coming up while you're there. I'm impressed with what you've been doing. It's really great.
Thank you.
I love to see the gymnastics and the athleticism mixed in with the martial arts, the stunt work. It's fantastic what you do, jumping through the cars and the somersaults. I know it's not easy. It's hard to get it right. You know, what people don't see is the takes that didn't work, right?
True.
They see the one that looked great, but you don't see the hard work leading up to that.
Have you watched any Hindi movie? Any? Like,
Now you're gonna get me.
let's start with Commando 3, the full movie from A to Z.
Commando 3. Of the Commando movies, is that one your favorite?
What Boyka to you is Commando to me. My life changed, yes. So everybody got to know about me through this movie, Commando. And before that, I was playing the bad guy mostly, all the time. And that just changed the perception. And so I'm eternally grateful to life. It's been very kind to me. Films is a business. So where I come from, we have no idea about movies. We just do authentic martial arts. So for me to come to Mumbai and to just get lucky being an action star, I feel very privileged. Somebody like you, Scott, where you come from, you've done everything that could be on anybody's bucket list. Dude, inspirational you are.
Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it.
Another guy who really is inspirational at this age is Jean-Claude Van Damme. I've been watching his videos. He's incredible, inspirational.
He's in great shape. He's always kept himself in great shape.
You worked with him, right?
I've worked with him 4 times.
What the hell?
Yeah. And Van Damme, when I was a kid, Van Damme was my #1 inspiration. I mean, yeah, Bruce Lee is always the best. But then when Van Damme came along, massive inspiration for me. So that was a big moment when I got to work with him the first time. Absolute legend. Incredibly charismatic guy, one of the best physiques you've ever seen. I mean, his physique, the size of his arms. I've got small arms genetically. That's what lets me down. I've got a big chest, big back and that, but his arms, amazing. But just such a charismatic presence on screen. Amazing guy. Yeah. So many fans the world over.
Like when I told a few people today that I'm speaking to Scott, they were all excited. Boyka.
Boyka, yeah. Everybody loves Boyka. Yeah, Boyka's much cooler than me. Boyka's so much cooler than Scott Adkins.
He's so much muscular.
Well, he's got that personality where he's like a bad guy, but he's a good guy. And he just doesn't take any shit. And people love that about Boyka. He's like, like Wolverine is the
Yes.
doesn't stand for it. So they can live vicariously through that character. Like you in Commando as well, somebody does something wrong. It's like, oh, he's going to give him a beating now. Payback time. So people love that sort of thing. And Boyka's been a blessing for me. I'd love to do another one. How about Boyka gets transferred to an Indian prison?
Yes.
I honestly think we should get him transferred to the Indian prison.
Yes.
He needs to see this side of the world too.
Yes.
We could do that.
And Boyka would just end up meeting me, the badass from here.
Yeah. But, we could have it not be a negative role. It could be a positive role for both guys. They start off as adversaries, and then they come together to fight some bigger baddies or something like that. We could do it.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea. I promise you it's a great idea.
They like Boyka in India, right?
You know what Tony Jaa did to the world cinema and India? Trust me, Boyka did it to a lot of people in the country. Like everybody knew about the sudden rage. It was Boyka. And so you have this impact. You just need to experience it in India.
Well, I'd love to come over. For me, it's strange that it got as big as it did, because it was a sequel to a movie that not a lot of people were that interested in, and it wasn't like it was a big explosive overnight success. It was a build-up over years, and then I realized, oh wow, this character is really popular everywhere around the world. So it's interesting the way it works out.
When you were growing up, you were a martial artist. Did you know you would be so famous?
I mean, I never thought about it like that, you see. I didn't think of it like, oh, I want to be famous. I thought of it as...
Did you ever think I would be Boyka, known as Boyka, the Scott Atkin? Did you know you would reach here when you were doing your martial arts?
I mean, when I was younger, I never would have thought of anything about Boyka, because he's looked so different to me. I wouldn't have been able to visualize that. I would only visualize myself. And what you said earlier was interesting, how you said your motto was kind of like, I'm going to do it and I will do it. But my mindset was kind of like, man, I want to make it so badly, and I hope I do. I'm going to put everything into it. What you said is a much better way of looking at it. So therefore, when I was younger, in my wildest dreams, I would imagine myself making it, but it was desperation more than anything. It wasn't like, oh, I'm definitely going to make it, I'm going to be somebody. It was kind of like, oh, I hope I can do it. I put the work in, but I was still kind of hoping. Different mindset. Your mindset's better. That's the mindset I'll give to my son.
With me, Scott, when I was in school, and I was never prepared for my exams, so I was like, I have a feeling I will make it. I have a feeling I'll make it. I never passed those exams, most of them. But this is the only field that is action. I had to do it. I didn't care what I would do with it. I had to just keep doing this. I had to just keep doing this. And that's what I've done.
See, I knew that I wouldn't pass my exams. That much I was certain.
That's the only common link between you and me. Yeah. The same thing differently.
Do you know why I didn't do well at school? I was up late watching kung fu movies.
Oh my God.
That was the boy.
How many kids? You have 2 kids, right?
2 kids. I've got a 9-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. And the 2-year-old son, he's the one that takes all the time at the moment. He's very clingy. He likes his dad.
Men are like that. Most of the strong men are very clingy.
Yeah, he enjoys his dad. He always wants his dad around. He'll be banging on the door in a minute, probably. What about you? You got any kids?
I'm married as yet, and I don't have kids, but I have a very strong intuition that it should happen soon, man.
Well, I think men kind of put it off and they're never ready, but just do it. It's hard work. It takes a lot of time, but it's very worth it.
Scott, in my opinion, I've been ready for a very long time, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm not ready. I will always get it right. But so the way I think is, I'm so ready. I'm so committed to be wanting to be committed. It just doesn't happen, man.
You got to get on it then. Come on. What's the problem? Good-looking guy like
you. Oof, dude. That's another day. No, it's not complicated. That's the thing. I wish it was complicated, man. I wish it was not that...
Too busy making action films.
No, I can never be busier than you. The way you work, there's no comparison, dude. Like, no. Yeah, I need to really find the answer tonight. I need to write. I'm ready. Yes, please.
Let me ask you something about filmmaking. How long do you have... So Commando 3, for instance, how many weeks did it take to make the movie? And for the fight scene with...
Andy.
Yeah, well, I saw the fight scene, you're fighting a bunch of guys. You're all topless, right?
No, that is not Andy. That's
Commando 3 though, right?
That's Commando 3, but that's another action director. We wanted a very Indian style action piece which really works in India, and it did, this particular portion.
That's
so
dope.
We shot the whole movie in 56 days. Wait, and we shot 3 big action sequences in 2 weeks.
I wish I had a bit more time. That's the problem with some of my movies, that not enough time. So you spoke to Tony Jaa.
So Tony was quite cool, and we spoke about you, and it's quite, I loved him. He's a very different species altogether. He's really different. He's really legendary. He is who he is, man. I was really happy.
Yeah, he's very zen. Yeah, very sweet as well. Sweet, nice guy. But man, he kicks hard. Tony Jaa, I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
When I was fighting Tony at the end of Triple Threat, and I wanted to, I want him to look his best and I want me to look my best because that's best for both of us. But also I want to test myself against Tony Jaa because when I was coming up, he exploded onto the scene with Ong Bak. And I was like, who's this guy? This guy's incredible. And almost like, wow, he's my immediate competition. I mean, not really because he's over there in the East, but he is. And I always thought, man, that guy's incredible. I would love to see how I fared against him. And obviously it's not a real fight, but we're just physically doing our thing and comparing the speed, the agility of the kicks and things like that. And I think I did okay, but I've never felt such power from anyone that I've ever fought with, of all of them. The explosiveness that he has in his kicks. I blocked one of his kicks with my arm, and that guy's just made of different atoms. It's like he's very slight. He's not muscular, but he's dense. He's got thick bones. Never seen power like it. Explosiveness.
Wow. That was both chill and invigorating and exciting all at once. And enlightening. Wow, there was so much to take from that. That was really, really cool. I really, really, really liked that interview. It seems like VIDYUT JAMMWAL really took from the first interview he did with Tony Jaa and improved upon it quite a bit in terms of like figuring out not to overlap with his guest that he's talking to have the better audio. And thankfully this time, Scott Adkins had a camera and audio running on his side just to give more options for the purposes of editing and whatnot, rather than just being limited to the constraints of like this Skype video. It's always great when your guest that you're talking to also provides equipment, provides footage on their side to just enhance the quality of it. Like I did an interview with Ryan George. For those of you who don't know, he does the pitch meetings for Screen Rant. He's also got his own YouTube channel. I'm a big fan of him. I got to interview him for Get Jaby, and he offered me to record audio on his end so that I could have better quality sound when I put together the interview. And so that's great that Scott Adkins did that. I don't know how they arranged that, but that was great. One of the things that VIDYUT JAMMWAL did here was he just stayed silent a lot when he would ask a question because he didn't want to have an overlap in audio. At least that's what I anticipated happened. And so there are these lingering moments sometimes during the conversation, but that was actually kind of neat because it was just sort of a chill vibe throughout, and I really, really liked that. I liked Scott Adkins having that moment to just talk. I've never really seen him just kind of in his own, just having that kind of conversation and opening up like that. It was really nice to hear his perspective on things, to hear what he focuses on now. I didn't even know that he had his own tutorial thing, but hearing like the age at which he got into things and where his focus was and how he sort of looked at things. As a kid, I had the same ambitions. Obviously, I didn't pursue it hard enough because otherwise, it's still cool to sort of vicariously live through someone, to hear about their experiences and their journey and how they got there. It's just like, Scott Adkins just seems like a very down-to-earth kind of guy, and everything I've heard about him. Megan Lay, a friend of mine, I believe worked with him, and she said nothing but nice things about him. And so I actually discovered Boyka with you guys. I think I did my reaction with Megan Lay on this channel because it was a request from the Indian audience, and that video reaction has over 1 million views. I had no idea who he was before that video. And when I learned about him, I became an instant fan, just like all of you. And of course, I got shamed immediately for not knowing who he was, but of course now it's like I'm very well aware of who Scott Adkins is. I love how just real he is, because he's like, I've been eating too many chocolate biscuits recently. I'm sure he still looks fantastic. I'm sure he still looks great. Like his bad day is probably like my best day ever, if that. If that's probably being too generous to myself. He still looks good there, having not done a whole lot recently, at least according to his standards. And one of the things he said that I think is very, very key that I take from him that is reinforcing something I already believe, which is the most important aspect of training is love. That sounds weird and hippy-dippy, but just hear me out. He loves what he does. He loves martial arts. He loves lifting. He loves training. And VIDYUT JAMMWAL is the same way, and he has to actively stop himself from training. There gets to this point where I go to gymnastics or martial arts or weightlifting, and I feel a slight like, ooh, that could be an injury. I'm like, but no, I don't care. I wanna keep moving. I wanna keep doing this. I'm here, I'm committed, and I love what I'm doing. And sometimes you end up hurting yourself even more. And the whole thing he said about ego, I love that he talked about that because I've gone through the same exact thing. I very much relate to that, where you think in your mind, because I've done this before, surely I can lift this weight. Like I've lifted almost 300 pounds in deadlifts and whatnot, and then I go back to do it again and something's not quite right, but you wanna prove it to yourself because of your ego. And learning how to humble yourself and be comfortable with lighter weights, there's nothing wrong with that. For those of you who are into weightlifting and whatnot, there's nothing wrong with focusing on basics, with focusing on lighter weights and building up your stamina and your strength with lighter weights. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You shouldn't feel shameful if you have to go to lighter weights. In fact, it's not a bad thing to go and train with lighter weights because you might actually find yourself improving a lot quicker and a lot more effectively with much better form if you go to lighter weights rather than focusing on heavier weights. I see people at the gym all the time like try to, okay, for instance, there's the pull down bar, right? And I see people stacking the plates to get like 200 pounds on the pull down bar. And they're like pulling like this. And I vividly remember going up to someone training like that. And I remember it was an Indian American kid. He must have been like 19 years old. I'm like, dude, you're gonna hurt yourself the way you're doing that. That's not how you do a pull-up. And I corrected his form in one. I'm like, lower the weight. Focus on lighter weights and get your form right because good form will get you to good much sooner than terrible form on heavy weights. I'm glad that Scott Adkins brought that up. Everyone goes through their ebb and flow. Most of what you see is like the final product, the final cut, the Michelangelo, right? Or rather the David, that's what Michelangelo made from marble, the David. Like you see the final product, and Scott Adkins made a point to bring that up with VIDYUT JAMMWAL and the crazy stuff he does. Like you always see the final shot. You're not seeing like take after take after take of like when things went wrong, of you know, the errors. You always see the good stuff, and it's important to keep that in mind. There is a lot of training, there's a lot of mistakes, a lot of trial and error to get to that perfect shot. One of the things that Scott Adkins brought up a number of times that made me have even more respect for him and his work is he's like, there's just never enough time to do the things. Like you look at the way Bollywood treats music videos is how Hong Kong treats martial arts. And you know, you'll have these fight scenes like Jackie Chan, I think if I'm not mistaken, for Drunken Master 2, he spent 3 months on that final fight scene. 3 months. 3 months crafting and shooting the epic ending fight with, I think it was Ken Lo and I forget who else was in that fight scene, but it's like one of my favorite fight scenes of all time. It's great. 3 months. It's a long time for a single fight scene. Like I said, India gives that kind of love to, you know, music videos and dance sequences and whatnot. So Scott Adkins is constantly working against the clock, and he still delivers what he delivers even while working against like these time crunches and whatnot. That's pretty incredible, and it's also very dangerous. Like you don't have enough time, you can get injured and whatnot. The fact that he's still able to accomplish what he does within that limited time span is very commendable. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's crazy. And it's just cool to see like these two legends talking to each other. Like what a time to be alive, man, because just seeing these people talk to each other is crazy. It's very, very neat. You know, it's one thing to see them fighting on screen, how cool that is. But for me, just seeing a conversation between the two of them, two bros, essentially, is just really neat. There's something cool about that. I don't know, it's nice. And you know, I hope that VIDYUT JAMMWAL continues to do this even when pandemic is over, and he does it in person, because there's a different vibe when you do conversations in person, right? Because there's a certain limitation that you experience with Skype. It's not quite the same, it's not real time. You can't, the energy is just different. And so I genuinely hope VIDYUT JAMMWAL continues to do these kinds of things in between making movies, or even while he's on set with people. I hope he continues to do this stuff in person because I think he's really good at it. He has a certain energy that he brings to the conversation that makes you feel good. And he has a way to make the person he's talking to feel good, and I think that's great. I think he should interview Tony Jaa again and Scott Adkins again in person when they work together, because I like the kind of conversation he's having, and I know that even more will come out, even more interesting stuff will come out, and they'll be able to like physically demonstrate stuff if they're in person together. I love this interview, I love this conversation. You guys, please make sure you subscribe to VIDYUT JAMMWAL's YouTube channel. He's at 331,000 subscribers. I think we can get him to 1 million by the end of next week. I'm pretty sure. Like if everyone just like tell your friends to subscribe to his channel, that means VIDYUT JAMMWAL, you know, bringing his knowledge to the table for everybody for free. on YouTube. That's dope. That's so cool. Subscribe to his channel, give this original video an upvote, and that's it for now. Thanks so much for hanging out. If you're still here, hashtag Jaby versus VIDYUT JAMMWAL in a fight scene. That would be amazing someday. Go up there and get my ass kicked.